This is our canon. Happy birthday to us. On the season finale of Common Side Effects.
It's a raid!
The main guy, Marshall, is violent and dangerous.
He's not actually...
Justifiable force is authorized.
Common Side Effects. New episode next Sunday at 11:30 on Adult Swim. Next day on Max.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Toonami Therapy, our podcast on March 18th of 2025. I'm Michael.
I'm Tommy.
And this
hello. I forgot my special thing there. But it's okay. Go on.
All right. So, yeah, I was thinking, oh, okay, I guess he's just not doing that this episode. But, so, this is our podcast where we talk about anime, some of which is Toonami. So, We don't have too much of a zippy opening thing, although, dang it, I feel like there is something that we mentioned last week, and I was thinking, oh, I need to say something about it to like correct an error or something I made, and yet now I can't remember anything of that, and I didn't write it down. So maybe I was completely wrong with that. In any event, we don't have any new news in regards to Toonami, I don't think. I think we already knew Lazarus was starting on... Actually, I can't remember the date. Was it like April 3rd or something?
Yeah, something like that.
It couldn't be April 3rd because...
April 7th, maybe? April 6th?
Yeah. I was...
April 5th? April 5th? I don't know.
It's 5th or 6th, depending on what time zone you're in, I think.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that it can't be April 4th because that's 3 days after April 1st. And I know April 1st is a Tuesday because that's the election day. And we have been getting bombarded with advertisements over a state election that's coming up then. So I will remember the fact that, yes, that's the day that's the day because they keep talking April 1st, go and vote. Okay, so let's see. Right, I guess that's it. We can move on to Toonami unless you wanted to learn all about the election, eh? Want to discuss it? Probably not. So so in any event, we're on to Blue Exorcist episode 18, and here what happened is that so I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names in this year. I can't even remember what was Reen's brother's name again? Yukio, there. See, that's how bad I am with names in this series. I couldn't remember the main character's brother. I could remember Reen and Mephisto, and that's kind of it. Okay. So the guy one of the kids gets possessed by the evil spirit thing, and then, which Reen does see and tries to attack him, but other people don't see it and think he's just gone crazy, and for some reason he doesn't just simply explain the situation. Look, I saw a demon there, to solve everything quickly, but instead it just doesn't explain things. But anyway, it all gets resolved. It ends up revealing itself. They manage to beat it and save him, and and then everyone is all happy, and that's basically the end.
Yep. And it was one of those things, kind of like the One Piece thing, where the guys are being controlled by Doflamingo's puppetry, and instead of just saying, "Hey, look, I'm being controlled. I can't help this," they just keep it a secret, and then everyone gets mad at him for doing that. So, yeah, um, yeah, it wasn't a great episode, but it's passable. Um, I suppose if I gave it a grade, I'd give it a C minus. I don't know. I haven't given out grades before, but that might be interesting to do sometime. But yeah, passable. It passes. But that was our joke at college because I went to school with like everyone around me was just like me, that we wanted to do the bare minimum to graduate. So it was always C equals commencement. And that was the goal. Everyone's goal was to get a C in in every class. That way we could graduate, because D's wouldn't pass you. So you needed a C. And everyone was like, C equals commencement. So this show would have gotten us closer to graduation. So congratulations to Blue Exorcist on that.
Okay. So my thoughts on it, I thought it was just kind of okay, just a standalone episode, which is kind of weird because we're in the part where the series is, from this until the end of the season, we're in complete filler. So it was a little surprising to me that they decided, okay, we are going to just go and bring up our own ending. So what are we going to do? Well, have an episode that doesn't actually, seem to be important.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, it was okay. It was, I mean, you said passable. That seems a decent way to put it, honestly. Okay. After that, we move on to One Piece episode 709, 710. Okay, so Luffy fights. So Luffy, once again, who is fighting Bellamy, who's being controlled by Doflamingo, tells Doflamingo, hey, let me fight you. And Flamingo's like, yeah, I guess this has been going on for too long and everyone wants to just see you and me fight, so sure. And then stops it. But that doesn't stop Bellamy from having a bunch of flashbacks first. All right. So we get that. Meanwhile, we have some other people fighting. The big thing is that, let's see, what's his name? The one, I'm trying to remember his Sai, that was his name. Basically, he ends up fighting against Baby 5, which is kind of a weird name, but that's her name, I guess. Anyway, when he's threatening her, the exact language he uses causes her to misinterpret it and think that he's like in love with her. Then there's a weird part where she's like, well, what do you want me to do? And he's like, well, you can kill yourself because, she's an enemy. And she's like, okay. And then he's like, no, don't do that. And it's weird because, and there's all this flashback stuff about how she just wanted to be useful to someone. And I guess the fact that she doesn't actually pull the trigger on herself for so long is because she's spending all that time on the flashback. Okay. Well, anyway, he stops it, I guess, and I guess they're in love now. That was a pretty fast romance. Yeah, well, we're fighting and I don't like you. Oh no, I guess we're in love now. That was fast. So, right, there's a bunch of other stuff there, and right, the other big thing, right, and then that other guy the bad guy tries to fight him, but then what was it? Lao G? That's right. Yeah, because he kept talking about G. And then Sai beats him because, I don't know, I guess they got the important stuff done with, so they just had to beat the guy as an afterthought because it was kind of a fast battle. And that was basically it.
Uh, yeah. Could you explain to me who these two people fighting each other even were? Like, I didn't understand who was on Luffy's team, who was against Doflamingo. I was like, okay, we got two people fighting here, but I don't know a thing about them.
Okay.
So,
All right. I'll be honest. I couldn't even remember who Sai was. I thought, I remembered Baby Five because she had been around for a bunch, but Sai, I forgot who he was. I legitimately thinking, oh, I thought he was just like some random mook. And then it was suddenly, oh no, I guess he's actually an important character with the stuff that's going on. But okay. So here, Sai was on Luffy's side because he's I can't remember if he's a son, he's a relative somehow of Don Chinjiao, that guy with remember him, the guy with the sort of spiky head that could use it as a drill because after Luffy sort of knocked it back. So they were siding with Luffy, and the people, the Lao G, the old guy who was like obsessed with G, and once again Baby Five, the girl, they were on Doflamingo's side, but I guess Baby Five at this point has just defected. So, and there's that. So that's who was on what side in that fight.
okay. So in the end, everyone's on Luffy's side, right?
Well, not Lao G, but he got beaten. So
he got beat. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so that was the One Piece episodes. I'll be honest, I actually thought these episodes were pretty solid. Well, hang on, that's not true. The second episode I thought was fairly solid. The first one was overburdened with a bunch of needless flashbacks, which, to be fair, the second episode also had flashbacks, but I'm like thinking, okay, this at least gives me insight about this character.
Yeah, the second episode with the whole suicide scene was a little uncomfortable. First episode, I was hoping to see Doflamingo and Luffy fight, and they kind of didn't. Even though they're supposed to be fighting now, we got a big long flashback to delay the fight. And what you said, we're only like halfway into this arc or something?
Well, I think when I said that, it was a while ago. So let me see how far we are here. Okay, so this season, well, they're listed as seasons on Wikipedia, but the seasons are really just arcs. So right now we are we just finished episode 82 of this arc, and there are a total of 118. So that means that we're, let's see, almost 70% through this arc.
Okay, so Luffy can actually start fighting the big bad at this point, I assume.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, I know at least some of these final episodes are going to just be wrap-up stuff. So Doflamingo and Luffy's fight will be concluded, well, actually, I don't know when, but it'll at least be before the end of the season.
Yeah.
Okay. So, after that, we've gotten... Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about One Piece. Honestly, when I said solid, maybe that was a little bit of an overstatement. I was mostly just thinking pretty solid compared to what we usually get from One Piece.
Yeah.
I need to remember that I'm grading One Piece on a curve here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, after this, we get Yu Yu Hakusho, episode 46. All right, so let's see. Hiei's still fighting that guy, but then Hiei decides, well, I'm not going to do the full-fledged Dragon of the Darkness Flame thing. We've got like one more round of this tournament left. I got to save that for my big finish there. And well, he doesn't say that, but honestly, that does. I'm pretty sure it's going to be used then. Instead, he just channels it into his sword, which he uses to slash open the guy and kill him, and then he wins. The next round then is Kurama versus this guy with this fishing pole. and the guy with the fishing pole does some telepathic communication and say, yeah, the bad guys are just forcing me into this. If you can kill me, then my mother or grandmother, I can't remember which one it was, will be spared, because that's what they're threatening me for. And Kurama's like, yeah, okay, I'll just beat you and then make it seem like doubt. But it was actually all a ploy to make Kurama drop his guard, so he attacks him. Then he opens up this box thing, which he claims will make everyone except for him regressing age, which would actually probably be really killer against most of the main characters. But Kurama, remember, he was previously the super strong demon before he was reborn as a human, so he's like, yeah, I'm back to that now. Too bad for you. Meanwhile, throughout all this, we get a bunch of cuts to Yusuke screaming and bleeding a bunch.
Yeah, I don't really understand this Yusuke training arc. It's just basically Yusuke screaming his way to a power up, like I always say. It's just being tortured and tormented and agonized, and somehow that makes him stronger. And it doesn't really feel like he's doing anything. It just feels like, okay, we're just going to have him suffer for a while and scream, and then magically he'll get stronger. So I am not a fan of this quote unquote training. As for the other part, I thought that was a pretty cool, pretty fun thing where the guy tricks him into thinking that he's only being controlled and he wants to do that, and then turns out to be fake. So I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, I don't get the whole training thing. If all we're gonna do is just watch Yusuke scream, it's not. Doesn't feel like actual training to me. So,
well, yeah, it isn't really training so much as just, how do I say it? It's not really training exactly. It's just, hey, you just got to absorb this thing and it's going to be really painful. And it is funny. You're right. This is usually when we say scream your way into a power up, that's like meant like as like a figurative statement. Here it literally is straight up like a power up he's getting, and he's screaming because it's painful to get it. So yeah, that's a good point. One thing I wanted to mention, though, the thing I mentioned about the guy saying, "Oh, it was my grandmother," all that stuff. The dub actually rewrote that by that part quite a bit, because I double checked, and what he was actually talking about was that he was like from, I can't remember exactly how it all explained, but his name is literally the name of this guy from this Japanese sort of folk tale. What was it again? Basically, maybe you even heard of it. It's the one who like saves his turtle's life, and then he goes off to live in this underwater like palace or something for a while. Then he comes back and he's given this box and says, "Hey, just don't open this." And then because all this time had past and is like in the future now, and he decides, well, it's not going to be a fairy tale if I don't open it. So he opens it, and then it makes him super old, and that's it. And the whole thing is a reference, like his attack, that's a reference to that. It just makes everyone else old. And of course, the dub doesn't say, it literally just rewrites all of that stuff in his ploy, where he mentions all of that stuff and, and tries to use that to trick Kurama instead, which I guess makes some sense, because how many people are going to know all of this, especially when this was going to air on TV and stuff. So they just changed it with something else. But yeah, the subtitles, if you watch the sub version, mention that. I just wanted to mention that there for the record. I guess that that part kind of got lost a little.
Yeah.
Okay. But I thought that this was a pretty decent episode. I was kind of surprised how much stuff it feels like they packed into it. They finished the previous fight. They had all this stuff happening in this fight. I was thinking that it was just the cliffhanger was going to be, oh, he's opened a box and now he's going to be reverting people to young. But no, we actually go past that and we have Karam, and the cliffhanger is instead later where Karam is revealing his true power and such. Mm-hmm. Let's see. One other, also, two more things to mention, sorry. There's yet another case when Hiei does his rapid fire punching, it doesn't work.
Rapid fire punching.
Yeah, well, it looks like it. To be fair, it looks like it's working, but then the bad guy is like, "Nope, didn't work. I was just kidding." Mm-hmm. I also want to say that I do think the Koenma and the ogre's interactions throughout this fight, well, all of the fights are pretty amusing.
Yeah.
All right, so we move on from that to Shangri-La Frontier, episode 40. So, Sunraku is initially, he gets spit out from the giant weird head thing that ate him. So he's okay, but then discovers to his annoyance that the sort of scar thing, the curse scars he had before, yeah, they're still on them and they've actually become more powerful and harder to get rid of. Though, for one benefit for him, I suppose, is the fact that it does mention he can wear armor, except it'll disintegrate after a period of time. So he's still annoyed about that. Anyway, they go forward. They have to beat the area boss, which they do so entirely off screen, which I thought was actually a really funny joke. Mm-hmm. Then they get to the place they were going to. Because Sunraku's hit level 99, he gets this kind of power-up thing, which they spend a bunch of time on. But long story short, healing items don't always work on him, but it means that all of his moves, what was it? Reload time? Not reload time. What was it? Refresh time? I don't know. Something like that are cut in half. So... yeah, that's great. Oh, yeah, also we do see, remember Rust and Mold from Nephilim Hollow? Yeah, they're in this game now because they were meeting Sunraku. I think Rust's character design was a lot better looking in Nephilim Hollow, but, well, this is what she's got in this game. And, yeah, that I think covers the episode.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good this week, better than usual. I liked some of the interactions and stuff. Still missing our original group, but who knows if they're going to even show up in this season. So, yeah. Yeah, just pretty good episode, that's all.
Yeah, it had some fun interactions here. I liked the joke where, well, first I really liked the joke where it just off screens a boss and then they talk about it, which Emil has completely forgotten the whole thing. So it's just them all saying this stuff. I just thought that whole joke was funny. But let's see, some of their stuff after that was good. I liked the part where we find out that the reason. What's Kitsu Akane, I think. She wears a mask and he just says, oh, it's to cover up, the scars, right? And she says, yeah. And then she thinks, yeah, I can't tell him that I just made it look too much like my actual face in the game. So, yeah, we've got this. I guess we'll meet up with the Rust and Mold in the next episode. So... yeah, I think we'll see them soon, and then we'll just... yeah, don't have anything much else to say about it, I don't think. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, so...
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, this time it's me coughing, unlike last week. I was going to say one final thing. While I do kind of want to see Akatsu and Pencilgon again, I actually do think Rei, Akatsu, Akane, and Sunraku, yeah, they've got a decent dynamic themselves. When they're actually interacting, rather than the whole thing just being, let's just fight this boss for several episodes.
Mhm.
Okay. Right. Then we move on to Hyouka episode 3.
Yes, so we've got an episode all about trying to find these anthologies, which are supposedly important to the uh, Classic Literature Club, but even though we never see this club actually do anything related to classic literature, so it's a little confusing why they're so obsessed with these, but they have to go find them, and then they figure out what room they're in, but this guy doesn't want to let them in, so they figure out a way to trick him, and they're able to find them, and they figure out the mystery, and that's just about it. And if it sounds boring, that's because it was. I was not impressed by this episode at all. I I was hoping for more out of this show, but yeah, this is kind of disappointing.
I think I liked it a bit more than you did, but it was. I mean, I got some enjoyment out of it, but it definitely does seem kind of slow paced, and the mysteries they spend this time on are things where I don't know. They're the sort of things where, like, the explanations they give make sense. It's just, and the clues are shown before, but it's just a matter of me thinking, I don't know how I could have put all this together, because what was his explanation? So they're, what they discover is that they're thinking, okay, so this guy set up these, so like the hints are this guy set up basically infrared monitoring things to see if someone's coming in, and he really did not want to let them into the room. And they go into the room, and they see the windows open and there's a fan and all this sort of stuff, and they mention how the guy was like part of some prestigious family. And okay, so we get all that information there, and somehow we're supposed to get from all that, oh yeah, well, he was just smoking here, and that he would get into a lot of trouble if he was caught, so he was doing all that stuff to try to get the smoke smell out of there. I mean, I guess that works, but how were we supposed to get to the smoke? I don't know. Maybe I think they needed more of a hint for that, but I guess I mean, it was okay. It was okay as a mystery. It just kind of felt like it was a sort of thing where like, it's like one of the mystery. Okay, so here's one. I remember there. It was like this book of like these sort of like brief sort of puzzle things where you had to figure stuff out, and it's just like one. Okay, so a man. A man cut off his arm and sent it to someone else, who looked at it, then sent it to someone else, then who then looked at it and then buried it. Why did all of this happen? The answer is that, and I don't know, and if you want, and I don't know how anyone was supposed to figure out all of this from there. Well, they were all these guys who were shipwrecked on this island, and they needed food, so they made an agreement that they would cut off their arms and eat them in order to survive. And since they only needed to do one at a time, they had an agreement that, okay, if we get rescued, all of us are going to have to do this if they haven't. And the man who did that was the one who got rescued before that. So he did that to agree to as part of the deal and sent it as proof to those other guys. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how you were supposed to get that from that, but okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's bizarre.
I can't remember the book. It was like, I think they were called lateral thinking puzzles. You were supposed to figure out, so some of them like made more sense. Like, okay, there's a guy, and when he takes and he lives on like, I don't know, the 20th floor, and he takes the elevator, and when he's going down, he always hits the lobby and goes there, and that's great. But when he's trying to return home, if there's someone else in the elevator with him, he gets off at the 20th floor. But if there's no one, he gets off at the 10th floor and walks the rest of the way. Why is this? The
I don't
answer,
know.
and this is one where you could at least sort of get it, the guy was just really, really short, and thus he couldn't actually reach the 20th button, so he just had to hit the 10 and walk the rest of the way. And if there was someone with him, then you could ask them to press it for him. See? That makes at least a little more sense. You can at least arrive at that logically.
Yeah. A little more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I don't have too much else to say about the series. We get, in terms of why they were trying to find the anthologies, I think originally it was because they needed to make an anthology and they were trying to look at the old ones for information. But I think now it's part of that bigger mystery where the girl was saying, okay, I'm trying to figure out what he told me that was a big deal that made me cry, but I can't remember what it was. And since I think the guy wasn't he part of the club way back when or something? So they were hoping to use that to try to find information or something. I maybe I'm misremembering that, but I feel it was something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was that other history going on, and I couldn't figure out exactly what that was about. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on from Hyouka, it's the return. We're on Re:Zero episode 59. All right. So everyone has basically split up to fight a bunch of the different what were they? Oh yeah, the archbishops of sin, all of them, and the big. Well, for most of it, we just kind of, just have a bit of sort of setup for them. They go in and they're going to start fighting. More of the focus, I guess, was on Subaru and Reinhardt showing up to help Amelia, where. So yeah, Reinhardt ends up actually, because he's willing to just take the hit in order to avoid Regulus, that was his name. Cornelius. Is it Regulus Cornelius, or do they usually call him Regulus or Cornelius, or I think that's his full name. Whatever. And then he dies as a result, but then Reinhardt just gets back because he can do that, I guess. And not like a go back in time. He just is like, yeah, I'm okay now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so he just goes and is fighting him a bunch while Subaru and Amelia are trying to figure out, okay, so what's this guy's weakness? Because Regulus is basically invincible. Like, you hit him, he doesn't take damage or anything. And yeah, that was most of the stuff in the episode. It was kind of a setup to all the fights. There's some, I mean, I could go through all of them individually, but that was like plot wise all the important stuff, I think.
Yeah, you missed part at the very beginning, which I thought you wouldn't enjoy all that much.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to mention it, so yeah, right. We basically that did count as the beginning. Liliana, is her name Lilina or Liliana? No, Liliana, that's it. Yeah, she's with the character's name Priscilla. Okay, I was completely blanking on her name for some reason. And yeah, Priscilla decides, yeah, I'm just going to take my clothes off and change in front of her. And it's just this very blatant fan service scene. It's really weird because like Re:Zero has had fan service and stuff before. You had like Elsa with her very impractical outfit, but this is like the first time I thought it was like really, wow, you really were just forcing this fan service scene because there was no plot reason for the scene to exist. But apparently it was considered so important that this scene was the one that in the light novel, you're like, yeah, this is the drawing that we're going to make sure to actually color, because it's super important we see all of this. But yeah, that's basically it. We get that, and then we because she and Liliana are going to deal with Sirius, I think that was her name. I'm sorry, I always get these names mixed up. But Yeah, definitely felt like kind of needless fan service. But outside of I thought this was a pretty solid episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew you wouldn't like it, and I'm just sitting there thinking, like, why are, like, what does this have to do with anything that she had to take her clothes off and then put them right back on again? It was like, okay, yeah, thanks for showing us that, but it was like, uh, thank you for that. We got our fan service in, but there was no there was no point in it whatsoever. It was just put in there for the sake of fan service. So uh, yeah, I love Priscilla, but that just felt so forced,
Hmm.
and I don't really understand why it was in there. Um, the episode on the whole, it was okay, but like, I didn't really like Subaru in this episode. I think he he was acting too goofy to be pulling off a rescue mission, and he's doing his whole EMT thing, which doesn't make sense in uh, English because the T stands for Tenchi, which is angel, and but yeah, he was being too goofy, and I don't like Garfield at all. So anytime he's on screen, I'm instantly angry, and and yeah, I didn't think this was that great of an episode to come back on. Uh, but yeah, uh, disappointing, I think.
So wait, what did EMT stand for?
Uh, Well, the E is obviously Amelia. I forget what the M stands for. The T stands for Tensi, Tensi, which is angel. And yeah, let me see what
Because
EMT 30.
because when you said EMT, I was thinking that meant like emergency medical technician. I was thinking, oh, okay, I'm not sure how that connects here, but maybe it means something and I forgot, and then I forgot to actually look it up. So let me.
Okay, so it stands for Amelia Baji Tensi. So yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm seeing. I'm searching. Yeah, someone asked it on the ReZero subreddit, and someone said that Emilia Maji Tenche means Emilia is seriously an angel. So, or at least that's what that person said it stood for. Okay, because I was legitimately thinking it was talking about, the like emergency medical technician. I'm saying, is he saying there's an ambulance? What is going on here? Because
Mhm.
that's what people usually call, like, the people who come from the ambulance, the EMTs.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now I understand. I should have looked it up, but I forgot. Okay. All right, I don't have anything else too much to say about it. I will say that I do think it is, while in some ways it is doing what I've kind of said in One Piece. Okay, so basically a bunch of different people are having fights, and well, it is doing that, but it's at least working better than One Piece because it's not, just all these unnecessary padding. Well, outside of that beginning scene, I guess. So the one that we discussed, and yeah, don't have anything else to really say about it. So I guess we can finish our discussions of them.
Yeah, so let's see. For this week, my best Toonami episode was Blue Exorcist. My best non-Toonami was Shangri-La Frontier, and my best girl of the week goes to Ray from Shangri-La Frontier.
Okay. Well, for me, I would actually think I would put One Piece in first this time, and for the Toonami series. For the non-Toonami series, I think I'll put in Yu Yu Hakusho, despite some of the apparent criticisms I gave. I was just kind of, I don't know, it just felt like they managed to have a lot of stuff happening in the episode, and I enjoyed it. So I will give that to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there we go with that. Anything else we should talk about?
No, not really.
Okay.
I don't have anything. Yeah.
Okay, one thing I guess I might as well mention to people, because I was gonna sign up for it because I was thinking, maybe I'll just sign up for it, for a short time in order to marathon the final season of Bleach for whenever the final part of the final season comes out. Apparently the Hulu or Disney Hulu, because they're really trying to get you to sign up for both of them at once. Right now they're having kind of a notable discount. It's you can get $2.99 per month for 4 months on them. This is with the ad version. You do have to do with the ads, which is a reduction from their usual $10.99, and that price will last for 4 months. If you sign up, although the offer itself only goes until March 30th. So I figured I'd just mention, hey, if you are interested in signing up for this and for the discount, might as well just mention it. I was doing it because I noticed it because I was thinking of signing up, and I was like, oh, well, it's cheaper, might as well. So, yeah. And I figured I might as well say it now, because if I wait until next week or something, it'll probably be too late if anyone wants to take advantage of it. Or don't. I mean, it's not a sponsor or anything. I just thought that I might as well mention it because it might save a little money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anything? Okay, well, you said you didn't have anything else to say, and I already said my stuff. So, yes, I think that's everything. So, we'll be seeing you all next week. And for next week, we will be, for our series we're watching, we'll obviously be still checking out our Toonami series, but for the off Toonami series, we will be watching one episode of each of those, except for Shangri-La Frontier, where we'll watch 2 episodes of it. And that's what we'll have for next week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and yeah, I have nothing else to say, so I guess that'll be it for real this time. See ya!
Bye!
With all the pirate-themed games out there,
it's tough to stand out in the crowd. But when it comes to fun,
we couldn't resist the siren call of Rogue Waters.
As the immortal Captain Cutter, you cast off with your skeleton crew to seek revenge on the dreaded pirate Blackbone.
Choose your path and let the turn-based battles begin. Soften them up with the cannons, send in the raiders, then duel to the death.
Victory depends on your upgrades, your crew, your tactics.
And maybe calling in a few mythical creatures to wreak havoc on your enemies. All raids build stats.
But if you really want to plunder the high seas, you're gonna have to grind. Once you're fully upgraded, the game hits full sail.
Getting there is repetitive, but if you're a fan of rogues and roguelites, it will keep you coming back for more.
In a sea full of pirate games, Rogue Waters shines like a fresh piece of 8.
We give it an 8 out of 10. Eyes on the prize, mateys. The Clone War rages on. In the deepening twilight of the Jedi, Master and Apprentice grow farther apart.
You're no Qui-Gon Jinn. Let's go.
As the Republic makes a desperate last stand against the shadow cast by Darth Sidious and his pupils. Toonami presents Volume 2 of the critically acclaimed micro-series, Star Wars Clone Wars, coming up next. Impressive. Most impressive. Only Toonami.